you give me enough money to live, I will simply go away and you will never have to hear from me again. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. We've talked about the permafrost a bit before, Jeff.
Yes.
We've mentioned the permafrost.
It's a great spell to get. You can get it at 6th level.
Mm-hmm.
I usually wait until 7th level to get it. But that's just because I want to, I want to make sure my mana pool is big enough that I don't use, if I'm going to use it over and over, I don't want to go, have mana problems.
Exactly. You want to be able to cast it at multiple levels in multiple situations. Cause listen, if I was going to prep my spells for the day, I would probably, try to get like perma disintegration or perma sickness, cause I think that's more applicable in more situations.
Yeah. But, if you're going up against like fire types, you definitely want permafrost.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, this is a science podcast where one of us surprises the other with a science story, and then we freak out about it because terrible things are happening every day under our nose. The permafrost we talked about before because number one, because it's just fucking fascinating.
It is.
Honestly, it's just fascinating that in a certain area of the world, in a large area of the world, really, we're talking about Canada, we're talking about Russia, we're talking about, anything north really of a certain parallel is going to have some permafrost. We're talking about ice that has been frozen, because that's what ice does, for thousands and thousands of years, as deep as 600 feet. To the point where it is simply the ground that you walk on. The real ground is underneath there somewhere. That's just wild to me. The equivalent of a sea, of an ocean frozen that people are walking on top of. The people have built towns on top of, that people have built trains on top of. That's wild to me. I love it.
Yeah.
The other reason it's fascinating is because there's stuff in it.
There's stuff that got stuck in it.
There's stuff that it was water and then it wasn't. So there's stuff in it.
Yeah.
A lot of it's dirt. A lot of it's just frozen dirt, if we're going to be honest.
Old ass stuff.
Even the dirt is old. That's kind of cool. It's not regular dirt. It's old dirt. If that's exciting to you,
especially special old frozen dirt.
It's special old frozy dirt is what it is. And people have been trying to search for things in the permafrost for a very long time. Scientists love to go digging down in there because it's the same as, digging down into rock, digging down into any other part of the earth. But sometimes we find things that, because it is water and not actual, solid rock or soil, we do find different things in there. And one of the reasons we talked about permafrost on the show before is bacteria that was found that was still alive. In the Arctic, they found some bacteria and they were like, oh, cool, this bacteria is 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
It is cool, but also a little terrifying bringing that bacteria up. It's also a little terrifying that my brain said, I want to lick it.
That's a bad instinct. You got to fight that one. When I know that.
But you get where I'm coming from, though, right? They were like, we found this ancient bacteria, which from 10, 20,000 years ago, nothing like it exists on Earth anymore. And I'm just like, let me give myself a little cut on my fingy and just touch it.
Put it in you?
I just want to know. It's like when they say there's nothing more painful than a bullet ant bite. I'm like, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Let me
hold that.
I love curiosity.
Sure.
I'm not gonna stymie your curiosity. I want to hold you down, man. Be curious. Get out there. Be curious.
Thank you.
I would say in this particular case, maybe the thousands-year-old ancient bacteria of questionable origin shouldn't be in your circulatory system.
It's not questionable. It's not questionable. It comes from frost. Comes from earth. Comes from frost.
Yeah.
Just old.
Yeah.
Just old. Let me lick it.
Don't though.
Wait,
Don't.
you're thinking this is going to be like a Michael Crichton time travel situation where I'm going to need to have 47 vaccines that don't exist anymore.
Yes.
Just because if I travel back to medieval times, I'll die instantly. You're thinking it's like that.
Your body will
It's just
be
called
assaulted.
Timeline. Was that Timeline?
I don't know.
You know, it's one of those Michael Crichtons where it's like, you know, those Michael Crichton books where he takes something really interesting and makes it boring.
Oh yeah. You're talking about a Michael Crichton book.
Yeah, the one like where they're like, hey, we've invented time travel, and he's like, well, you'll have to take into account the rotation of the Earth and its position in space, and also you'll have to have 17 vaccines against diseases that we don't have anymore, or you'll die, because here are the diseases they had in medieval times. It's like, motherfucker, I want to see a guy with a gun fight a guy with a sword. What are we doing here, Michael Crichton?
Yeah. Show me knights versus spies. That's what I want.
We're the worst people to host a science podcast, if I'm honest.
True. Well, you have already talked about licking the bacteria, so I think that
makes me best.
Because that's an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what science does.
This is like, I'm a scientist the way like in the 1800s, they were scientists and they said, let me drink a little mercury.
Yeah.
Let me get a little mercury.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well,
my stomach exploded?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's find out. What's the worst can happen? Oh, I've given myself a horrible dementia instantaneously. So what?
What can I pour into my eyeball?
Yeah, what can I pour into my eyeball? One of the earliest episodes of this podcast was me saying, let me pour something into my eyeball to give me night vision. So you know where I'm coming from. So yeah, they find bacteria. They find all kinds of things in the permafrost. And I do want to lick it all. I do want to know what it's all about. But Jeff, we found something pretty great in the permafrost recently.
A vampire?
Oh, I wish we found Das Vampir.
No,
that would be very cool.
I would. I was hoping that maybe he was frozen like mid fangs out, claws extended, like and then we found him down there, like he slipped.
Like the climate change that caused the permafrost was much like the climate change in the movie The Day After Tomorrow.
Where it happens all at once, real fast.
Yeah, you run from it.
Yeah. No, what I imagine.
So the vampire was about to. The vampire was like, and it was thousands of years ago. So this was like a this was like a cave vampire.
Cro-Magnon vampire.
Yeah, it was like a Cro-Magnon vampire. So it was like blah blah blah.
But what I'm imagining is,
and it was like
about to.
Yeah,
he's got his ancient cloak, and he's got his claws extended, and his fangs come out, and he's about to pounce on unsuspecting caveman, and caveman points and goes, "Look behind you," and the vampire's like, "I'm not going to fall for that one." But it was the climate change behind him.
It was the climate change right behind him, and they knew it was coming.
Frozen right in the permafrost, allowing our hero to get away.
Our hero, caveman scientist, who knew what climate change was.
Yeah, he saw it coming.
Yeah, tried to warn everybody
about it for years.
Tried to warn everybody.
We haven't done anything. The caveman talked about it. We didn't do anything.
We didn't do a ding dang thing.
Now it's too late.
And now it's all vampires in the ice.
They're coming. They're unthawing now because of climate change.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's not as intense as vampire. Okay. I want to recalibrate your expectations.
Oh, right. Is it something you're going to want to lick?
Listen, I don't want to give anything away, but here's what I'll tell you. Yes.
Worms.
We found roundworms in the permafrost. They're 46,000 years old, Jeff. And Jeff, they woke right the fuck up.
Worm was like, where was I? What happened?
It's like, oh man, I feel. The one worm was looking at the other worm and was like, oh man, I feel. How long have we been sleeping? I have that feeling like, when you slept too much, like you needed a lot of sleep, but you slept a little too much.
Worm had a weird day.
Worm had a weird epoch. Worm had a weird Pleistocene. You know what I mean?
46,000 years. This is the Worm Van Winkle is what it is.
And do you know what it took Do you know what it took to wake the worms up, Jeff? Literally nothing. Let them thaw out, put them in some water, let them thaw out, and the worms woke right up.
That's wild. That is wild.
Nothing special. It's all good. Worms is back.
They just started squirming?
They started squirming because that's what worm do, baby. Even 46,000 years ago, that's what worm do.
What's the lifespan of these worms?
Not long. I mean, they died a few weeks later, I think. They died like a couple days later.
46,000 years. We thaw them out and they croak.
Jeff,
dude, we are so good at killing shit, dude.
No, Jeff, listen to me.
We are so good at it.
Listen to me. Number one, they were frozen in the permafrost. We could say that is not any kind of quality of life.
Fair point.
Number two, if I were to freeze you for 46,000 years and thaw you out, you would still only have the rest of your lifespan left.
I know. That's true.
So what would make you think that we would thaw out these worms and all of a sudden they'd be super worms that have like years of happy life ahead of them?
Well, it just feels like...
Baby, they just worm.
It felt like this was all leading up to something. And it was just two scientists staring at them on a table and going, well, that's about it.
Well, there are some cool things about it. There are. Okay. So these roundworms, they're also known as nematodes. You may have heard nematode before. They can they're kind of, I don't know if they're classified as extremophiles, but they can survive in extreme conditions.
Well, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. For very long periods of time. We did not know that they could survive this well. Like this are they a species that is still around? No. So this is what's really cool is they're somewhere between 45,000. This is what I love. Even when scientists are giving a range, listen to this range that they give. The specimens were frozen between 45,839 and 47,769 years ago.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Guys,
it's like
you can
super specific, but also vague. How can you be vague and specific at the same time?
You're estimating. Don't also try to show off. Do you know what I mean? Like you're estimating. So also like cool out about it. Don't try to sound smart while also guessing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You got, what is that? That's like 1,000-year range in there, so give or take.
I'm guessing this element is somewhere between 70 and 80 on the periodic table, or 73 and 87 on the periodic. Oh, okay. Well, if it's 73 and 87, no, those are completely different things. You don't know anything about it. All of those elements are totally different. You can't just put a weird number on it. They are worms called Panagrolaemus colimensis. They're named after the Kolyma River in Russia, where they were found. This is in Siberia. Siberia is where a lot of Russia's permafrost is. And unlike other societies, Russia really wanted to conquer the permafrost, to live on the permafrost. It's a considerable part of Russian history is about trying to live in this horrible, horrible place.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me. Because when you look at Russia, there's so much Russia.
Right.
Like there's a lot of Russia.
So many places to go.
Yeah. I would say instead of going further up, just go down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It gets
instead
a
of
little warmer.
north, go south. Yeah. Get out of there.
Yeah. They're stubborn people.
They're a stubborn people. They truly are. These worms are only 1 millimeter long. And they were able to resist the extreme temperatures by entering cryptobiosis.
Yeah, they did.
Cryptobiosis. I fucking love that.
Fucking zombies is what they are now.
I mean, sort of. Yeah. I mean, like cryptobiosis is fucking wild. It's a state of extreme inactivity in response to adverse environmental conditions. All the metabolic pressures stop, preventing reproduction, development, and repair. So even if these things go into cryptobiosis, we think about like tardigrades, things like that going into cryptobiosis. If you go into cryptobiosis and and you're wounded, not a great time to go into cryptobiosis.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're in pretty good shape before you go into cryptobiosis.
Hale and Hardy before cryptobiosis.
You want to make sure you're in a decent shape because, nothing's going to heal. Now, other metabolic processes stop too. So it's also, you're not pumping blood if they do that. I don't know what they do. Bro. Don't talk to me about
millimeter long worms.
I'm talking about all extremophiles. I don't know what they do. I look at a tardigrade. I say, if that thing has blood, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does, but I'm scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have not found these. There are nematodes. There are descendants of these things. It is sort of a nematode Encino Man situation where the other worms are like, oh my gosh, this ancient worm is actually hot. We should take this ancient worm to prom. We'll just shave this ancient worm and give it a modern haircut. And it'll live among all the other worms.
In this analogy, are the scientists Pauly Shore?
I think modern worms are Pauly Shore.
Oh, modern worms
would be Pauly Shore and Sean Astin.
It's all worms. Scientists haven't gotten involved in that.
Yeah, this is like the worms talking to the other worms.
Gotcha.
Now the thing about this is cryptobiosis is something that we have been trying to understand for a very long time. We don't get how this happens. We don't get why it happens. We can see the effects of it. We know what it looks like. But what allows creatures to go into this state?
Yeah. What falling into the permafrost? Why does it kill some things and allow others to just chill?
And allow others to just chill the fuck out, bro, and just hang for a while. So
cryptobiosis, the process of shutting down because the environment is scary, or as I like to call it, Saturday.
Hey, waka waka. So one of the things they want to do is look at the genetics of these nematodes, and then a contemporary nematode called C. elegans, which stands for Caenorhabditis. Caenorhabditis elegans.
Nailed it.
Did it on the first try. I didn't have to. They shortened it to C. elegans, but I saw, why do we climb a mountain, Jeff?
It's there.
Because it's there.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if I could do it, and I couldn't. But by comparing key genes in both, they were able to see some of the similarities and some of the differences. And because we've already sequenced a lot of the genes in nematodes, and they have a far simpler genetic structure than, some other things, we were able to understand a lot about them already. We are already finding out stuff. We were finding out that there are these genes that are in both of them that has something to do with a specific sugar called trehalose. There's something about trehalose that allows them to go into a cryptobiotic state, but they're also very dependent on this particular sugar to even live a normal life. So without it, they die almost instantly, but with it, they live almost forever.
What is this sugar? Is this sugar common in nature? Can you get it from fruits and
yeah, there's nothing particularly interesting about the sugar itself other than the fact that these nematodes are so dependent on it.
Right.
And it has something to do with the cryptobiotic state. They think these two things are connected, which I think is wild. I think that's such a cool thing to figure out. The other thing to know about these worms is when these worms thawed out, they were living normal worm lives. We already have thousands of offspring of these worms.
Whoa.
Yeah, these worms just, they thawed out. They got right back to living.
Oh, man.
And now we have tons of these ancient worms.
You're in the ice bath for 46,000 years. You wake up and you're like, I'm going to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're walking slowly and then you start speeding up as you're thawing out. So it's like, I'm going to fuck anything that moves.
Yeah.
everybody's song to get down to is, are y'all ready for this? It's the same. It's the same song that basketball teams run out onto the court to. That's on everybody's sexy playlist.
That's why everybody knows don't bring worms to a basketball game.
That's right.
You'll go home with way more worms.
I remember when I was a kid, my parents telling me, don't pull up the grass, because if you pull up, I used to love to pull up the grass because I love the feeling of like the tearing of it out of the ground. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My daughter does that a lot.
Oh, as far as sensory stuff goes, it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And of course, my father did not want me pulling up the grass. And I remember the thing that he tried to tell me to stop me from pulling up the grass was, hey, don't pull up grass because it's indistinguishable from rain to the worms and it brings the worms up. And I was just like, holy shit, I can call to the worms?
I am the worm master.
And I was just like, I get to pull grass out of the ground and worms will show up?
How is it indistinguishable from rain?
I don't. My dad used to say shit, man. This is a thing that I learned, and I saw it reflected. There were 2 times when I learned that when I realized that my dad was just saying shit. The first was when we read Richard Feynman's biography, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, and he talked about how his dad got him into the scientific frame of mind by like just naming things, even though he didn't know the names of them. Like he would say, like little baby Richard Feynman would be like, "What's that? What's that animal, Dad?" And he would be like, "Oh, that's a red fluted hornswoggler." Yeah. And he learned that his father was wrong, but he learned that that's how everything has a name and everything has a play, you know? And then the other one,
he was raised on bullshit.
He was raised
became a scientist.
Yeah, he was raised on bullshit, and he was like, I got to figure out the truth. I've been lied to my whole life. And then the other one was Calvin's dad in Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah. There were these entire comics that were just Calvin's dad fucking with his kid. Yeah. And they were some of the funniest strips in Calvin and Hobbes. And that's when I realized that adults can just fuck with kids and do all the time. All the time. All the time.
It's like our favorite thing.
Oh, God. This is why
have kids if you're not going to fuck with them?
Well, people are like, hey, do you ever want to have kids? You'd probably be a good dad. And I'm like, I would be a horrible father. Everything out of my mouth would be a lie. I would stick to everything for the bit.
Yeah. Never deny. Never.
I've done long-term bits with kids, and the problem with the kid is they never catch on. But that's okay because it gets funnier and funnier and funnier to me.
For you, yes, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. But then my friends are like, they get mad because they're like, "Hey, have you been telling my kid this for like weeks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, your kid's an idiot. Man. Your kid's an absolute dummy.
It's real anymore."
Yeah.
I always wanted to transpose 2 words and just stick to it. Like call a fork, a bell, and call a bell a fork or whatever. I don't know. Just whatever. Just transpose 2 things. Yeah. And just like stick to it and just see how long it takes until it's like, Dad, that's like all the kids at school were calling bells forks.
It's like, wow, I can't believe I sent you to such a terrible school where everyone's dumb as hell. You go in there tomorrow and you tell them confidently and indignantly that they're all incorrect. And then tell me what happens.
Yeah, like really pay attention.
Tell me what they say. Tell me what they say, bro. No, bro. I'm not fucking with you. Get on the bus. Tell them.
No, but oh, dude, hey, wait, here, take my phone and record it.
Yeah, record it. Tell them when they ask why you have a phone at school, tell them your grandma's about to die. They won't take it away if you tell them your grandma's going to die. Yeah. So parents lie. I love worms. These worms, we are currently still studying because they have all these offspring now, and we can keep studying the offspring, which is dope as shit. So we can keep looking into this. Now, you might be asking, Jeff, why are we looking into cryptobiosis?
I don't think the answer is going to be good.
What's the plan here?
Shut down all the humans? Shut us all down?
What's the plan of these scientists?
No. Here, can I guess?
Yeah, guess.
This is a way to get us to farther planets. Cryptobiosis as space travel. We freeze ourselves. We get into cryptobiosis, thaw out when we hit Mars or farther away, and then we populate new planet. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
No more. We can junk this old planet that we've been junking for the last few hundred years.
Yes. Good. Yes. We've been pulling up too much grass. The worms are up in the soil now. They thought it was raining. We've ruined the planet. We gotta go. Well, Jeff, you've apparently thought more about this than the team, because the team says, we don't know.
We don't know why we're figuring it out?
There are no clear applications. We don't know why we're doing it. That's the interest of science.
We found worms, and what else are we going to do?
Yeah.
We were looking for our keys in the permafrost, and we found these worms.
Yeah.
So now, Yeah,
we're just looking. Dr. Timoris Kurzchalia, who is one of the members of this team, says, I don't know, man. That's the interest of science. You end somewhere you didn't presume. We don't know.
Can I tell you something, Anthony?
We're just studying horrible, immortal, prehistoric creatures, and we don't know why. We just want to poke them.
Can I tell you how much I love this? I love this. You know what? We just fucking go where it leads, baby.
Yeah.
We woke up today. We didn't have a goal. You know what our goal was? Do some science.
Let's
do it.
See what's in this permafrost.
Go. You know what? I'm living like a butterfly on the breeze, baby.
Yeah.
I got a grant. I don't even know where this money came from. I'm going to spend it.
I don't know.
What am I doing? I'm drilling into the permafrost. What am I hoping to find?
It's Russia. We can assume at least half the money came from somewhere that we don't want to ask about.
That's right. Oligarchs.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Listen, we woke up in the morning. We've been waking up for the last 200 years in Russia saying we will conquer the permafrost. So we kept digging down into the permafrost. One day we dug down into the permafrost and we found zombie worm. Now we say, oh shit, zombie worm. We pivot and now we study zombie worms.
That's what science is about. Pivoting.
That's what science is.
You go, hey, you know what? If I had drilled down in the permafrost and I had found ancient monkey paw, I would have been curious about that.
Yeah.
But what did I find? I found zombie worms.
That's
what I'm curious about.
That's science. Science says, oh, the earth is full of an invisible thing called ether. Oh, ether doesn't exist? That's fine. We'll move on.
Pivot. You pivot.
We study different shit now. I spent my whole life studying ether. Turns out it's not real. Do I give a shit? No.
Because
Why would
I'm curious about whatever I find.
Now, they do say, they did interview some scientists that are a little more imaginative. Dr. Philip Schiffer from the Institute for Zoology at the University of Cologne.
Dude, these poor guys, they're fucking sitting in the cold in Siberia. Don't ask them to be imaginative.
Don't ask them.
Just, come on.
I wouldn't even, just bring them like a Hot Pocket.
Just give them a blanket and a Hot Pocket. And
you know what I mean?
Let them do their jobs. Don't ask a lot. These guys are just trying to stay warm.
Listen, they're out of Swiss Miss. Bring them some more when you interview them for the New York Times. Bring the kind with the little marshmallows. That's what they like. Don't ask them to get all creative and friendly with you. They literally live in permafrost.
Let the guys that are hanging out in the warmer climates be the imaginative ones. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Let your coconut scientists figure that shit out.
Fancy beach science, you know? Those guys will fucking have ideas. That's all they care about is ideas. They're sitting around the beach all day just thinking of ideas.
So the New York Times was like, all right, guys, we're sorry. We'll leave you alone. Where did you send the worms? And they're like, oh, we sent them to Germany. So they're like, okay, let's go to Germany. So they went to the University of Cologne. They talked to Dr. Philip Schiffer from the Institute for Zoology. And he said, listen, this is great because one day we could engineer cryptobiosis. We could we could figure out how to recreate cryptobiosis within ourselves, obviously, or in other animals. He said the more relevant application of these findings are sort of what you were thinking, Jeff, but less optimistic and hopeful and positive. And basically what he said was, listen, in times of global warming, we can learn a lot about the adaptation to extreme environmental conditions from these organisms, informing conservation strategies and protecting ecosystems from collapsing. What if we could put a little cryptobiosis into the living things here to stop them from being killed by us so much all the time?
Amazing. We're not making things extinct by fucking up the planet. We're just putting them to sleep at times. They're just going to sleep.
What if we just make it so instead of killing everything on Earth, when we turn the Earth into a barren, desolate, radioactive smoke land, we just make all of the living things horrible mutants that are okay with the terrible radioactive smoke land?
It's so
we're literally saying now, Jeff. We're literally saying now, Jeff. What if we make that horrible dystopian sci-fi movie? We should study how to make that.
Yeah, well, we could make it's removing the guilt. See, because the guilt comes from the mass extinction event of all living things, but they're not extinct. They're just waiting for the world to return to a state that it will never return to.
Right. Now, I should say this doesn't, cryptobiosis doesn't necessarily mean, things go bad. You instantly go into this like deep, crazy hibernation state. It also means that these creatures are just more resilient towards all environments. So it's not necessarily like we're not going to put all of the creatures to sleep. We're just going to turn them into monsters that live in a monster world.
Okay.
And then if the monster world even gets too bad, then the monsters will sleep. And then hundreds of thousands of years later, when there's a new coat of permafrost, the new society
builds on top of that.
Will build on top of that, and they will one day hopefully awaken the horrible monsters and continue the cycle anew. And when I say hopefully, I do mean it. I don't want anybody to have a better future than us.
No.
If I don't get to have a good future, nobody does. I've reached my intense boomer era.
Yeah. We've reached peak happiness level. This is as happy as it's ever going to be.
We were actually born like a few decades after, I think, peak happiness. Or we were children in when the world, I think, reached peak happiness.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to be adults and have cool adult world in peak happiness. So nobody does.
Right. And that's why we just constantly recreate our childhood over and over again.
I can't wait to see that Ninja Turtles movie, though, in all honesty.
Oh, it looks so good. It reminds me of being a kid.
So, look, you might be thinking, Jeff, a lot of stuff is coming out of the permafrost. Did that occur to you? Was that a thought in your head?
I mean, it did. It does seem like when you brought this up, it could have gone a number of ways just because we've heard a number of things coming out of the permafrost.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out of the permafrost. Now, here's the thing about the permafrost. I read a bit about the permafrost before doing this episode, and I got to tell you, the history of conquering the permafrost is a wild one, Jeff. Because here's the deal. Russia says, we're going to fucking build on top of this wasteland. Mother Russia owns this planet. Humans own this planet. We will turn this cold, desolate, frozen sea into a pleasure dome for Russia, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then they found out that if you build something on permafrost, the permafrost melts.
Oh, sure, of course, because you're warming the top of it.
You're warming the top of it. So they built an entire research facility out there that just fucking sunk.
Oh God.
It just fucking sunk right down into it. They were digging down into the permafrost. They were like, how far does this shit go? They got 200 feet down because they started off wanting to dig a well. They're like, we're going to need water while we're out here. So we're going to dig down. Obviously, underneath all of this is water. All of this shit's water. So they were chipping away for like 10 years at the permafrost. They got 200 feet down and they're like, what's down there, Sergey? And Sergey's like, you're not going to believe this. It's more permafrost, my guys.
You're still going down.
Yeah. No, still cold. Still cold. No liquid yet.
Worms, found worms.
Found worms. Many worms. So they finally brought out a researcher to study this. And the researcher's name was Shurgin. And Fedor Shurgin in 1827 came out to Yakutia, which is where they still have one of the big settlements that's out in the permafrost. And he looked at this 200-foot shaft and he went, keep digging, motherfuckers. Let's find out what's down there. They found out. He looked at it. He's like, but I'll tell you what, it's at least 600 feet deep.
Wow.
You can still go and see the shaft if you want to. Like it's that you can go and you can look down into the heart of the ice if you want. It's covered with like a couple of just sort of like valves and like chambers. And the writer for this article that was in the New Yorker was like, oh yeah, they like opened down these heavy wooden lids. They opened them up so I can look down in the shaft, and literally cold air rushed upward. Like the coldest air I've ever felt rushed upward from the center.
You know what that is? That's the last dying breath of the ice vampire.
That's
that was
fucking
trapped
ice
down
vampires,
there.
dog.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, what do we do to build on the permafrost? How do we make this happen? Because we want to build everything. I mean, they found out that if you take huge, like basically 40-foot spike slabs.
Sure.
Of concrete.
Who doesn't have one of those?
Yeah. You construct like a giant, like 40-foot spike slab of like concrete, shove it into the ice, build on top of that. The cooling properties of the concrete will stop your buildings from sinking. And so every building in these settlements is built on top of these giant, like foundational things that insulate against the heat of man. But there's also like a railroad that goes across it. They had to learn how to build a railroad that could handle the fact that the ice is going to expand and contract as it melts and reforms from trains going by. They had to figure all this stuff out engineering wise. And now none of that shit matters because it's just melting, Jeff.
Oh, man.
The permafrost is just melting. And here's the thing. When we talk about, are we worried about what's in this ice? We're talking about, the people are worried about thousands and thousands of year old bacteria. They're worried about bringing out these worms and these living creatures and these things. And it's like, are we going to contain them? What if they are, what if they're deadly to us? Number one, they're in the middle of the permafrost in the middle of Siberia. Like, buddy, we're all right. But number two, here's the real thing. That's not what's dangerous.
It's Vlad.
It's Vlad. It's Vlad the Frost Vampire.
He's coming for us.
He's coming. He's coming. It's like here's the thing. It's like an ice strahd, and your ray of frost is not going to hurt him. It only makes him stronger.
Oh, and that's the only spell I prepared.
That's the thing. Faked you out into thinking you were gonna be facing a lot of fire types. And what I do, I send an ice strahd after you. That's good DMing.
Yeah, that's good DMing.
That's good DMing. What's really problematic about the permafrost melting, Jeff, and it is melting. It's most of the areas that have permafrost in the world have gone up by that 2 degrees Celsius amount that we're talking about, that we worry about for the threshold of climate change.
That's that big fun point of no return that everybody wants to point out.
Yeah, it's the super cool, dope point of no return. And it's very bad, very horrible. And it's happening more and more. And the problem is, the biggest problem.
I'm really worried because there's a lot of buildup to what's coming out of the permafrost, Anthony. I don't know what to be afraid of yet.
It's the dirt, bud.
The adorable dirt we were talking about at the beginning?
It's the dirt.
The super cool, cozy, frozen dirt?
It's the dirt. It's the sand. It's the silt.
What?
Do you know why?
Why is that going to hurt us?
Carbon.
Oh, no.
It's holding carbon. When the permafrost melts, it released this constant belch of carbon dioxide.
Oh, no. It's like a giant Siberian fart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So these microbes that live in the soil wake up and they start eating the biomass because that's what they do. They're bacteria, they're microbes, they want to survive. They belch out carbon dioxide and methane. The permafrost contains 1.5 trillion tons of carbon, Jeff, twice as much as is currently held in the Earth's atmosphere.
Uh-oh.
So this is the issue. When the permafrost starts melting, it releases more greenhouse gases, which makes the permafrost melt faster.
Oh, boy. You know what we could do in that case, Anthony?
Tell me.
Learn from the worms. We just shut it all down. Shut it all down.
Well, that's how these teams are working together, right? One team is saying, hey, this is so wildly dangerous. There's so much carbon. We will not be able to survive through it. The other team says, cool, send us your nightmare worms and we will find out how to inject their nightmare biology into us. Yes. So we sleep for 46,000 years while the Earth just like takes a minute. You know, like the Earth just takes a beat. If we just, I'll tell you what, Jeff, during the pandemic, when everyone in LA stopped driving, I have never breathed such clean air in my life.
Oh yeah. It was delightful.
It only took like a month or two. And it was just like I was walking out. Yeah. Everything was literally cooler, breezier, nicer to breathe. Buddy, it's us. And if we could just go into a cryptobiotic state, everybody for a year, let's agree to do it for like a year every 10 years.
Yeah, it's all, look at the calendar. We're coming up on the cryptobiotic year.
It's a sleep year.
What are you guys doing for cryptobiotic year?
You get a leap year and a sleep year.
Leap year and a sleep year. There you go.
You get a leap year and a sleep year. And then when you sleep, everything just shuts off. You shut off. The world shuts off. You don't even need to pee if you go into a cryptobiotic state. It's probably going to be the most rest I've ever gotten.
You know, though, there's going to be some asshole that's like, I'm waking up while everybody's asleep. You know? Sure. I'm just going to run through the streets naked just because I can, because the whole world's cryptobiotic right now. Be some jackass who's like, ha ha, I woke up early.
And then what? Well, and then what does he do? Eat all the nachos? Let him.
He'll eat all the nachos.
Let him. We'll make more nachos when we wake up. Here's the other.
I feel like
we're not going to get older. That jerk's going to get a year older.
That guy's going to be old, and then we'll all laugh at him.
Yeah, if he's not taking his sleep years, you could take extra sleep years if you wanted.
Man, I could use a sleep year.
Here's what you do: put a little money in the bank, take some sleep years.
Do you think interest compounds during sleep years?
Of course it does. I'm not dead. My bank account's still there.
Yeah, but everybody's sleeping. You know,
no. That's what I'm saying. Take some extra sleep years. Here's the thing. You'd have to make a bit of a sacrifice, right? You'd have to say to your friends and family, listen, I've looked at late stage capitalism. I've found out that there's no way for me to thrive in it. I've put my money into various, I've diversified my portfolio, all $300 of it. And I'm just going to go to bed for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sublet my apartment. So that's taken care of.
Just don't mind me. I'll be in cryptobiosis in the side room.
Yeah.
It's like when you get into an Airbnb and they have that one closet where all their stuff is.
Yeah, they're like, don't open this closet.
Because I'm in there in cryptobiotic stasis.
Yeah, exactly. If you really need me, like if something really goes wrong,
it's just
you can knock on the tube.
I'm in the stand-up coffin with my fangs out in my closet.
You can knock on my coffin pod if you really need it. If you don't know where the coffee pods are, knock on my coffin pod.
Also, if you want any toffee, it's in a pot. So if you want to get the toffee pot or the coffee pods, knock on my coffin pod.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is a pretty intense thing. Like
this is, you know what this is? This is the permafrost giveth and the permafrost taketh away. The melting of the permafrost is going to end us all, but also the melting of the permafrost is going to reveal the key to surviving the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that at this point we'd try to like not get to the end of it all. You know, you'd think we'd not want to do that. But you know, so neuroscientists at MIT have been talking about this. Stas Malavin, who's another Russian researcher, has been talking about this, and they're saying like, look, you know, I'm not saying that we're going to figure out how to put people into a long-term cryogenic slumber tomorrow, but I think we will figure that out, and I think it is a possibility that we need to look at. I think I like a doomer Russian scientist. I think we found it. You know what I mean? Like we're always talking about all these scientists, and something about them doesn't sit right with me. And I think it's the lack of fatalism that's built into Russian. That's just built into the Russian spirit.
Yeah,
and it's not. I don't want to say it's not like Russians don't give up. They don't roll over. But there's that fatalist thing where it's like it all ends, baby. It all ends. So what do we do?
Yeah, we're always talking about the Swedes or the Norwegians, you know, with their science of positivity.
Yeah.
Science of optimism.
Like, we'll hit the sauna and then we'll solve the world's problems.
Yeah.
Oh, will you?
Probably not.
I believe that you'll hit the sauna.
Yeah.
That's the part I believe. Let's talk to, if you want to know who I want to talk to, I want to talk to Dr. Malavin. I want to know where my coffin pod is.
Yeah.
I want listen, I don't want an Andrei Tarkovsky future. I just feel like we're hitting an Andrei Tarkovsky future. And if we are, I want to be prepared. And the Russian scientists are preparing for it.
Shut it all down. Shut it all down. And by all, I mean every biological function in my body.
That's right. That's right. Also, it just sounds nice. It sounds nice if I could just be like, all right, this year, not my year. I'm shutting it down.
You got to dial it in right, though. You don't want to go too far, right? You don't want to wake up you don't want to Rip Van Winkle this bad boy. You want to dial in. You want to do like 25 years, 50 years. You don't want to go too far and have somebody forget about your coffin pod.
Sometimes I just want to do it for a month. You know what I mean? Set the timer for a month and just be like, this is a bad month. I know for a fact nothing good is coming of this month. I'll see y'all next month. And because it's cryptobiotic, I'm adding another month to my life. It's not a do-over, but it's essentially like, this one sucks. Yeah, this one sucks. I'm giving myself a chance to do the next one.
Yeah.
Without this one negatively hurting my score. You know? I'm going for a personal best run of a month.
Yeah. You gotta judge it quick and early.
Yeah.
You know?
If you fuck it up, like no sunk cost fallacy. If you're 5
don't
days
waste your time.
No.
Yeah.
If you're
Don't waste your time on that month.
Listen, I've seen enough. I've seen enough games done quick to know.
Yeah.
If you fuck something up in the first, like even in the first 20 minutes, just restart.
Just restart.
Just restart.
Put it off.
Put it off. If you have 4 bad days in the month, you got to look at the month and go like, listen, that's 4 bad days in a row. I'm looking at the rest of the month. I got to be realistic. Kiss your partner, kiss your kids. Tell them you'll see them next month.
You step out of the pod. You look out the window. No, I'm going back in.
Nope. 6 more weeks of pod.
6 more weeks.
Looks like shadows out there. Call me Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah. Podsatani Phil.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Call me Pot of Toffee Phil.
This is... Did the worms look refreshed when they thawed?
The worms...
They fucked. They fucked when they came out. That's a positive sign.
So, but I mean, we don't know if these worms were already in a pre-existing thing.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. Maybe
this is what they looked like when they came out. I don't know if this looks. If you're a video patron, you can see the visual. It's also going to be linked in the description. But you can see that when they came out under the microscope here. I don't know if it looks refreshed for a roundworm.
You think when they thawed out after 46,000 years, he's like, "Oh, you thawed Sheila too?" Oh, okay, all right.
No,
that's cool. It's
cool. My God, Sheila!
I'm so glad she thawed out too. I'm super glad. I'm glad we both thawed out.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I hope that we both. Yeah, it's like the Notebook in reverse, which is a nightmare to me. We wake up together and then we're together forever. Oh my God. Yeah, I would say this worm looks pretty smooth. I don't know if that's good for a nematode, but
what is that? What are the little lips on the center there?
I think that's just like a birthmark.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably just a birthmark. Now, this is according to the New York Times. We're looking at a lady worm. So this is Sheila.
Oh, hey, Sheila.
And Sheila, you look great. You don't look a day over 42,000. So yeah, the permafrost is a real problem. It's not a real problem because of John Carpenter's The Thing or whatever we think is going to happen. It's a problem because of the very real stuff that it is ejecting into our atmosphere every day. And this is why we have to be focused on climate change much more at all times. And I will remind people that while you should make as many personal decisions within your power that you feel comfortable making, the only way that we solve climate change is to fucking hold corporations accountable for it. So make sure that you're thinking about that when you vote and when you buy stuff, and I don't know, when you see fancy looking cars driving down the street. I don't know, maybe stick a fucking stick in their spokes or something. Is that how cars work?
I don't know. Trust the fatalist Russian scientists, I guess.
I guess. There's a lot. I mean, listen, we're at a point right now where you can't trust a lot that's coming out of Russia, but you can trust the fatalism of their scientists. I'll tell you this, when Russians are being fatalistic, believe them.
There you go. That's something we can take away.
That's what we'll say.
Yeah.
That's what we'll say. Hey, not to leave on a down note, because hey, listen, it's going to take a while before this carbon kills us. So don't,
sure.
It's going to be fine. Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, don't tell your kids about it. But like, we're all probably fine. Like, we're all probably fine. So I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, look,
as long as you're comfortable with us being the last generation, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, as long as you are not worried about anything beyond yourself. As long as you've reached real boomer hours like I have, you'll be fine. But hey, if you want to chat with some fellow concerned citizens about this or anything else you hear about on the show, or even just in day-to-day life, you can do that on our Discord.
Yeah. It's restricted. It's we have a very exclusive club at the Discord. It requires patronage, but a very low barrier of entry. $1 a month, a single US dollar a month gets you access to the Discord where you can hang out with folks. If you want to go up from there and support this show, it's the only way this show continues is your support at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. More than $1 will get you more cool things, including bonus episodes, bonus video, more cool content that we can all ride into oblivion together listening to.
Yeah. Shiny and chrome, baby. Shiny and chrome.
All right.
All right.
Let's shut this all down.